Welcome to Nina in the Kitchen, where today I want to show you one of my favorite go-to dishes for it's crazy weeknight. What am I going to get on the table? It's called a pasta Puttanesca, and what it is really just pantry staples. Here are the ingredients. I have a pound of linguine, that's going to be the pasta. This is 28 ounces of San Marzano tomatoes, and they're whole. And we'll talk about that in a minute. I have 1/2 cup of, these are all oil cured olives, but you can use whatever olive you happen to have. They can be green, they can be black, they can cross in between, you can mix them up, it doesn't matter. I have 1/4 cup of capers. This is 1/2 cup of chopped parsley, 1 teaspoon of oregano, and then over here I have, and don't freak out, but I have anchovies. This is crushed red pepper, and this is sliced garlic, and let me just show you quickly. The reason for slicing the garlic is that people can pick it out if they want to. This is the oil cured olive, and the way that I pit that is I just push on it and it opens right up, and then the pit pops right out. So that takes no time at all. The first thing I'm going to do is put about 3 tablespoons of oil in the bottom of the pan. This pan is on low, and all that you want to do is just make sure that your bottom of your pan is covered. This is a 12-inch skillet. And what goes in is the anchovies, the garlic, and the red pepper. And the reason that this is on low, the reason that this is on a low heat is because I want these flavors to infuse into the oil. Now the reason for the anchovies in here is it gives a backbone to this dish. It gives it an umami flavor. You will not taste anchovy. You will not be able to pick out that it's fishy or in particular garlicky, but it's an essential part of this dish. If you're afraid to use anchovies, there's an anchovy paste that would work beautifully in here. Now, if you don't know the history of this dish, Puttanesca, esca is in Italian, it means in the style of, and and puntane or punta, depending on where in the country you come from, is, I'm sorry?
Ask your mom.
Yeah, refers to a lady of the evening. So this is a dish in the style of the ladies of the evening. And this man where I teach cooking classes told me that the reason, the lore is that the reason that the garlic is sliced is because they wanted to pick the garlic out so that they could go out and meet with another John and make more money. I don't know if that's true or not. By the time your pasta cooks, this dish will be ready. The sauce will be ready. So it goes together in a snap. Now this is fragrant. I can smell the garlic. It's softening up a little. And if you can see, the color of the oil is actually a little rusty looking now, and that's because the oils from the peppers sort of infused the oil. And that's exactly what you want to do before you go to the next step, which is I'm just taking these tomatoes out. You want to reserve the liquid, but you don't need all of it. And the reason that you want whole tomatoes is a whole tomato gives you more flavor than if you buy the crushed tomato. I am going to put a little bit of sauce in here. The way that you can tear these tomatoes up is, and over the years I've tried various things, you can cut them with a knife, but that's messy. And the best tool I found to use is a potato masher. You just crush them. It takes just a minute. And right about this time, my pasta water should be boiling. Then I'm going to add the oregano. Now there are essential oils in the oregano that you want to release, so all that you do is you just crush it as you're putting it into your pan. Next up is the olives. Now these olives have been pitted, but all I want to do is to rough chop them. And what rough chopping is it means that you don't need a fine dice. You want big chunks. Again, this is very rustic. And that's it, you're done. That's it for the olives. And in they go. And then the capers, this is a 1/4 cup of capers and they're drained. You mix this up. You may need to add salt. I'm going to let this sit for a minute and let everybody get to know each other. And then I'll taste it for seasoning. Now we have this parsley, and this just goes on at the end. And if you look closely in here, you'll see that there are parsley leaves and stems. And I will use stems on parsley if they're thin. Sometimes you'll buy commercial parsley. Now I grew this, and for some reason this year, the stems are all staying very thin, very fine, so I'm using the whole leaf, from the leaf down to the stem. If you buy commercially and you have a thick stem that you don't want to use, then just cut those off, and I keep them in the freezer and I'll throw them into stock. It's delicious flavor. I just wanted to show you how to properly cook your pasta. Pasta likes a lot of water, and the pot that I've chosen, it's tall instead of being wide like a Dutch oven. And the reason for that is because I keep a border all around the edge so that as this bubbles up, as it's boiling, it can't come up and over the lip of the pot. You do not want to use oil in your pasta water. And the reason for that is if you put oil on top, think of it as an oil slick. The pasta is rolling around. There's really nothing that the oil is doing for the pasta, but when you drain the pasta, it gets an oil slick on it. And that means that all of the starches that you've built up by boiling it are now, you've clogged up the pores, if you will. So the oil prevents your pasta from sticking to the sauce that you're putting it in. So you're contradicting the reason that you boil pasta in the first place. I always, not always, but it depends on how much sauce I have and what kind of sauce I have. But it's a good idea to take maybe a coffee mug and scoop out some of the pasta water when it's starchy, because you may need that if you need a little extra sauce, if your sauce is maybe kind of dry or cream sauce or something, and you're afraid that you might need a little more. The best thing to use to stretch that sauce is your pasta water. I'm going to take the pasta out at 8 minutes, so I know that it's nice and tight and al dente, and I will put that in the sauce that's in the pan and let it finish cooking there, and it's going to absorb those flavors, and it'll be perfectly al dente when it gets to the table and delicious. So here's how you drop your pasta. And when I say I'm dropping my pasta, this is what I mean. I just let it go. You just want plenty of water. You stir it a few times just to make sure that nothing is sticking, and that looks perfect. So I'll put the timer on for 8 minutes, and that's when I'll pull the pasta and put it in with the Puttanesca sauce. In goes the drained pasta, and now this is when I put the parsley in. And we'll just let this pasta sit for a minute in this and absorb these flavors, and that's dinner. Literally, in the time that it takes to boil your pasta, we made the sauce, and it was all pantry staples. It's an inexpensive dish. I'm going to add just a little cheese in here and just get the cheese sort of started, and then mix it in, and then you serve cheese alongside the dish when you serve it at the table. And that's a Romano cheese that I'm using. Romano cheese is from the same area where this dish was created, so that's staying true to form, but if you want to use another cheese, an Asiago or a Parmesan cheese, that'd be great. Now, if you need any extra sauce, you can use your pasta water. I don't need that. And the other thing is we have the reserved tomato juice from the can that we haven't used. So that's another way to go. I'm just going to taste this for you. Let me get a little olive. You can drizzle olive oil on the dish, and I usually do that before serving, or you can just put a little bit on your plate. I also serve Romano cheese with this so that people can grate a little extra Romano. And I also serve a little red pepper. For people who like a little spice, I'm just going to use a little more. And that's totally controllable. If you don't like spicy, you don't have to put it in the dish, or just put a little bit. But this dish is all about big, bold, aggressive flavors. And I'm telling you, all these flavors together, it's delicious. Mamma mia. This is fabulous. This is a perfect weeknight meal. It's so delicious. It's on the table in no time. It's all pantry staples. It's inexpensive. I can't think of a bad thing to say about it. Fantastic dish. I hope you try it. Thank you so much for watching Nina in the Kitchen, and I hope to see you on Facebook. And of course, right here on YouTube. Thanks, guys. Bye.